What is the upcoming objective? So far we have developed a web page. That web page, whenever user given a URL, web page presented to the user. In that web page, we designed a form. The user will fill the form and submits. When the user submitted, that form will go to the client, will go to the server, and user given values will be retrieved and stored into the bean or business object, or we can say entity or model. Now we should learn how that model is to be saved into database table, right? That is here, already I wrote here, JPA integration. What all comes under JPA integration? Step by step. First thing, JPA repository. Interface we need to define. JPA repositories, sub-interface we need to define. Second step, entity, means annotations, entity related annotations. And the third thing, service class. And next thing, the next thing is what? Exceptions. Exception handling. So, in a nutshell, we are going to do these 4 steps under JPA integration. Okay, right. We'll start step by step. JPA interface, sub-interface. So, what do we do? src main java com.rebel.repo. We are going to create an interface. Okay, so .repo is the package, and the interface name is person repo, which is a sub interface of JPA repository is not visible. Oh, right. What to do? Dependencies we need to add. Already SpringBoot JPA we have exercised, right? SpringBoot JPA, the previous project. From this previous project, pom.xml file, we need to bring the dependencies. Data JPA, connector, these 2 dependencies we need to have. These 2 dependencies you can copy from here. Otherwise, MVN repository website is there. MVN repository. There you can search for starter data or starter JPA. Like that you can search from there. Those things you can add here into current projects pom.xml file. Current projects pom.xml file. Paste and save. It takes little amount of time. Lower right corner you can see the progress bar. It's gradually starts from 0, increases to 100 and finish. Once it's done, you need to add the necessary properties in application properties file. In resources folder, application properties file is there. What are the properties we have to add? URL, username, that JDBC properties, JPA properties, JPA logging, DDL. So these things we need to add there. Okay. So even those things we have in our previous project, application properties. These are all. Okay. So copy and then put in the current projects resources application properties file. There is no order for placing the properties here. In any order we can place. There is no specific order demands. Okay. Now here, instead of using update, let us use create, because we want the tables to be dropped and recreated. Okay. So this is one important thing. This comes under actually the JPA repository sub interface and the dependencies and properties. Okay, right. Now this pom.xml file we can close at any point of time once we have saved. Now application properties also closed. Then now let us try to create the interface. New interface, repo, person repo is my interface name, and the super interface name is, this time JPA repository automatically came. Okay. But earlier, since repositories are not there, we could not find any JPA repository. Now JPA repository interface have two type parameters. There, the first parameter is entity type. Entity. Oh, again, we don't have person class. Person class don't we have? Yeah, earlier already we have created. Let us try. Person, yeah. Person, person. Person, yeah. com.rebel.model.person. Did you remember what was the primary key field we used? ID. Yeah. Data type. Int is the type, but its corresponding class you have to write. Integer. Done. Finish. I have all CRUD operations. CRUD operations. Okay. Now here. What is the to read activity here? Custom queries in JPA repo sub interface. Okay, that you go with. Yeah, it is throwing some error. What is that error? What might be the error? Person class is exist. Oh, N double N. Oh, okay. Yeah, now it's gone. Fine. One requirement we have achieved, interface. Then entity related annotations. Oh, okay. Go to the person class. I didn't remember where is the person class. Just control click here. Hold down control key and click on this person. It is looking like a hyperlink, right? Just click there. Directly you will be landing into the particular class. Here at the rate, what? Entity. javax.persistency.entity, and then here this is at the rate ID. How you want that ID to be generated? At the rate generated value. Strategy. What is the strategy? Let's use identity. Okay. Now, since we are requesting the system to generate the identity. What is the point of creating a person object with identity? No use. Okay, so let's do one thing here. Done. Constructor is there without having the primary key field value. Remaining all fields are there except the primary key. Okay, done. Saved. Then what next? A repository has done. Entity annotation with ID, etc. also done. What is the next step we need to do? Service class, right? The service class. Let's see here. Any package, new class, service, right? Package name you update as per the requirement, and the class name person service. So what all operations we are expecting there? Those let us write. But it requires a person ID, invalid person ID exception, custom exception, user defined exception. Even that we need to have. New class, appropriate package you give, exception. What is the class name? Invalid person ID exception. So the subclass of java.lang.exception. Finish. And now what you need to define? Few constructors. So source constructor from superclass except the boolean argument constructor, remaining all. Done. This is done. We can close. Now person service. What all methods we need to have? Find person by ID. Find all persons. Save a single person. And save edit person, delete person. See, these names are client understandable names. Are you getting? Client understandable names. So in that way, with those names, we are going to define methods in the business service layer. Okay, right. Now let us take method by method. Okay, right. Public single person we are going to find. So return type would be obviously person, single person. What should be the argument? The primary key field value is the argument. Now, before that, how do you retrieve? From where you can retrieve the person or persons? How you can edit using the repository? So that repository you should have in the class level. So person repo, yeah. Are we going to create this person repo object manually? That is actually interface. So we need Spring framework to inject that object using setter. So generate setters getters. Here you expand this group, setter method you choose, then generate. So you got the person repo, set person repo method. So this should be auto-wide @auto-wide. Done. So Spring framework has created a person repo class object and injected into this class. That person repo object we are going to use here to find a single person object. So person repo dot find by ID. Find by ID. Now, is it going to find a single person object? No, it is not going to. What is that? Person repo find all. No. Find by ID. Find by ID. So is it returning a single person object? No. It is returning optional of person. What is it returning? Optional object. Okay, right. So here optional of person, opt person equals to, means that optional object may have person or may not have. If the person have, if the optional object have a person object, that should be written. Otherwise, exception to be thrown. Right. If opt person dot opt person dot no suggestions. Optional has not imported. Okay. Optional, right? Oh wow, fantastic. If it is empty, what to do? Throw new. What exception? Invalid person ID exception with the string. What is that message? Person ID not found. Person ID not found. What is the ID you are trying to find? That also let us add here. Right. When it will happen? During the invalid ID. Whenever that ID has not found, this exception to be thrown. But alternative case, other case, if the ID found, if the person found, means person, opt person is empty, false. So what to do? Opt person dot get. It is returning a person object, that let us return from here. Pretty well we have done exercise on this. Okay, right. Here it is not showing any error message. Actually, it should throw this method requires throws class. This method requires what? Throws class. I don't know whether invalid parameter ID exception. This is wrong ID. Wrong. Invalid parameter exception. No. What is this? Invalid person ID exception. Yeah. Now error is there. What is that error? Since it is throwing, either should be caught or declared to be thrown with throws class. Yeah. Add throws declaration. What? Add throws declaration. It is very sensitive. Add throws declaration. Right. Done everything. Now find all. So find all method. What is the return type? Public. All persons. All persons means collection. List. Java.util.list of person. Find all. No arguments. So you have anyways repository in your hand. Person repo dot find all. So you got all persons that you return from here. Okay, and then again save a person. Public, what should be the return type? Saved person it should return. Means by the time of saving, to save. you are sending a person object without ID. Upon successful saving, JPA repository gives person back with ID. Means it is taking a person object without ID, it is returning a person object with ID. Okay, right. So person is the return type, argument also person. Now what to do? Person repo dot save person. So this method is returning a person. The save method is returning a person that written. Okay, done. Then next, what is the next thing? Edit person, right? Public. So what is the return type? Here also, the return type also person. Upon successful editing of a person which is existing already, it should return the person object. Otherwise, it should throw exception, right? Person argument person. Now we need to check if any person object is existing in the repository with the ID we have passed in the argument. Argument is not ID. Listen carefully. Argument is not ID. Argument is a person object. In that person object, ID, name, email are there. With that ID, if any person is existing, that let us check first. So how? Find person by ID with person dot get ID. So what is the logic here? If the person object existing in the repository, control goes to the next line. If the person object is not existing with this ID, throws exception. Control will not go to the next line. So what to do here? It is throwing exception that we are not going to catch here. So we should mention with throws declaration. That is all. Now, what next? Now we need to save the person. So person repo dot save, the entity is person. So upon successful saving, it is returning a person that let us return from here. So why is this round trip process here? Actually here we don't have any other method to edit. Save method only save method you have. So what is the strategy of the save method? If you passed any person object to the save method with ID, first it will try to find and modify. If it could not find any person object with ID, it will insert. But our objective is not to insert at all. Insert another operation we have. This time we need to only modify if existing. So we are trying to find if it is already existing. Otherwise throwing exception so that you need not to mention if else clause. During the execution of this line, it is trying to find. So found, control goes next. Not found, throws exception, finish. So else clause is not allowed. There is no space for the else clause. Okay, and then even for the delete operation, the delete operation even is a public access. And what is the return value of delete? What object has been deleted? That let us return from here. So person by the ID, which object you want to delete? That object ID let us delete. So first, whether we need to find whether any person object is there in the repository with a given ID or not. So find person by ID, then found goes to the next line. If not found, exception to be thrown. Yeah, here exception to be thrown, so that throws declaration. Right, done. What next? We need to find a person. First we need to find a person. Yeah, we need to find a person here itself. Person found, that's been deleted. Now delete from the repository. Person repo dot delete by ID person deleted. Now the found person let us return from here. It is all about 5 operations: find all, find by ID, edit, find all, find by ID, save, edit, delete. These are the 5 operations. So 5 operations we have done in the service layer. Now, these service layer methods we have to call from the controller. In order to call the service layer methods in the controller should have a service object. So that service dot some method. So how you need to access this service in the controller? First you need to give one annotation here, that is service, so that the service class object person service class object will be created by Spring Framework, and it will inject wherever you have auto-wired this person service. So where we have to do that? In the controller. Person controller you have. Employee. Is it the wrong name I wrote? Wrong name I wrote. I'm changing. I don't know. Right click here. Go to refactor, rename. Person controller. Finish. Yeah, class name changed. At the same time, file name also got changed. Directly, you cannot change the either one. If you changed one only, it shows error. Maybe file name if you changed, it shows error here. If you change the class name, it shows error there in the file name. So refactor helps you to change the name at a time. One easy way, shortcut. Okay, alright. Now here this controller is going to have a service object here, because we are going to perform business service operations from here. So person service. This person service setter method done. Now this is to be done automatically, so that auto wired. Fantastic. Now what to do here? Instead of you are returning whenever a person form submitted, what is happening here? After submission, what we are doing? Again we are keeping that person object in the model, and then we are sending another page to client, right? No. This time person service dot save person, the person object. Okay. Now here display message. What? A string. Generate a string. Person object. Otherwise, person registered successfully with the ID plus person dot get ID. Oh, get not email, get ID. Right. Now model and view. Right. Let us go to new person.jsp. Where is that new person.jsp? Yeah, here. Result. Okay. Now another thing we need to do, that is we need to find all, we need to retrieve all the persons and display a HTML view, HTML page. We need to retrieve all of them. Sir, all of the persons, right? Yeah. All of the persons we need to retrieve and present in the in another JSP page. So what we can do in the home, let us write one more link, anchor tag, all persons, new employee new person registration, list all persons. So what we have to do, let us create one JSP page here where SRC main web app, WebINF view. Here we need to create one more JSP page. What that JSP page is going to have? All persons. Yeah, we'll see that. How do we do? New JSP. Yeah, again. As soon as you click the link, if you are directly landing into the JSP page, means JSP page link you are giving here. That JSP, where is that JSP page available? Within the WebINF pages. So directly link cannot access the page there. So whenever you click here link, it should go to a controller. That controller should identify the view, and then that view will be presented. That is actually the process. Whenever a link clicked, what will happen? That is just only the view name, not the JSP page name, view name. So your request should go to the controller, The controller should identify, controller should return a view page, a view name. That view name will be resolved with full name. That is the full JSP page. Okay, right. So in that case, list, that should be a controller. Anchor href equals to, otherwise list persons. You observe here, how did I create the link? How did I have the URL? L lowercase means here this is my action. What is this? My action. Action means you have person controller class. Here I am going to define a method, public void some xyz. This method has been mapped with request mapping. This is the URL. List persons, L lowercase. This is not the file name. Again, so many times I am repeating the same point. This is not the file name. Just this is the URL. What is this? Just this is the URL. Here, what is this XYZ? Meaningless name, right? Right. See, this is list persons. Method name can be anything. But instead of XYZ, if you have any meaningful name, that would be comfortable. Right? List persons. Whether list persons needs any ID, all persons you need to find. Then what is the point of ID or any other argument? Doesn't make any sense. Right? Fine. Then what should be the return value when you are returning? When you are finding here the list of persons. Where should the list of persons should go? It should go into a view. Where it should go? Into a view. So the return type should not be void nor list. It is a view, model and view object. Model and view object, right? This model and view equals to new model and view of view name. Now here you have to give the view name. All persons. Now this all persons is going to become webinf/view/allpersons.jsp with the help of the properties we configured in the application properties file. This model and view object is going to so far it have view. Along with the view, what it needs? Model. View it have. Model it should have. It is going to have. Yeah. Model and view dot add object string persons, where you have persons from the service class, person service dot find all persons. Find all persons is returning a list. That list you have added as model in the model and view object. Now let us return the model and view. This orchestration you need to understand. Okay. With one URL you are landing into the controller. With one URL you are coming into the URL. That is annotation. In this action method, again you are creating a model and view object. This one reaches you to a particular JSP page. In that particular JSP page, if you want to have any data, that is the model. Got my point? With one URL you are coming here. That is the request mapping URL. Request mapping. You came here. That request, the URL is not the view name. Just the URL is helping you to land to a particular request mapping annotated method. In this method, model and view object you are creating. The view is actually the view name. URL is not view. View is not the JSP. URL helps you to land to this particular action method. Once you landed here, you are creating a view object. That view object will be resolved completely with the prefix and suffix to make the complete file name, JSP file name. View name attached to something before and something later, it becomes the full file name. Okay, that is only view. If that view wanted to have any data, then that should be model and view object model and view object dot add object. So this is the cycle. This is the total process here. By the time last time he asked, then I wrote there in OneNote. I have shown the same thing. This why I am repeatedly telling this process. Maybe one time you may miss, the second time or third time or fourth time you may catch. That was the reason I am telling the same process. Even though it is same process, I am telling again and again. Maybe by end of today, I may tell the same process 2-3 more times. Okay, once, definitely more than once, I'll explain this whole process once we entered into web services. Okay, right. So here, model and view returned. The persons is the model, and all persons.jsp is the view name. Yeah. Right click new, other, JSP file, all persons.jsp. Here in all persons, here dollar braces persons. So what will happen, it display all of the persons. But all persons, if you are displaying in that way, that would not be very clean. Even though once we'll execute and see, so that if we find the program is perfectly executing, then we can upgrade, we can enhance the output. A beautiful table will create, ID, name, email. So, 8282 port is already running. I didn't see. Okay. So what we can do here, this is console. You drop down here. Drop down. Yeah, see, it is running here, right? Go there. See, it is running. So that stop button it is showing. If it is not running, run button it shows. If it is running, stop button it shows. Right, now stop. Why I am stopping and trying to start again? The reason is I have created so many files. So that it is highly recommended to stop and start instead of relaunch. Run as SpringBoot application. Wow, started. Now, drop table, create table. Already table has dropped and created. Okay, let's go to the browser and see what will happen here. Oh, right. List all person. Oh, first I need to create a person, right? But no, I am not going to give any ID here. Ram at right, register. Person registered successfully with ID 1. Instead of you are going to some other page, display there. If you are in the home page where you can find the links, there itself in the same page, if the message displayed, you need not to navigate back in the history to go to the link, other link to go to list of employees. Okay, a list of persons. So okay, that one action point. What is that? Don't display the message in a different page. In the same page, either employee registration page or links in the home page. That would be wonderful. Okay, right. Action points will address after a while. Now see here, hibernate, insert into person. Yeah, fine. Now let us again. Now this time I'll give my name. Right, register. Yeah, this time registered with the ID 2. See again another person inserted. Okay, like that, as many person objects you want, you can do. And then see, this is in the history. You have to modify back to back like that. You have to go. Instead of that, if we displayed the message here in this page or in the form, there you can put links. One link for going to back where all links are there. My message. That would be more sensitive. Oh, come back. Now I don't know where the recording goes. it is blinking. In my screen it is blinking continuously. No signal, no signal. So here, list of persons, list of all persons. So it's shown all persons it is showing, but we don't want in that format. Okay, so here I will stop and restart recording.